Good morning.
Good morning.
Is it another beautiful day in your consciousness? Okay, let's say it. It's another beautiful day in my consciousness. And feel it. Let's say it one more time. It's another beautiful day in my consciousness. And is it a joyful day? Do you go through life spotting joy? And thereby you are a joy spotter? And joy spotting can be a spiritual practice. What about that? Yeah. And I found out as I was listening to the book that this presentation is based upon that I'm a natural joy spotter. It's like, wow, the things you can find out about yourself. So as I go through this presentation on joy and being joyful and joy spotting, check in with yourself. Maybe we'll touch on an area where you are already a natural joy spotter. And what a wonderful way to go through life, right? Misa was saying we can spread smiles. Well, we can spread joy. And boy, in these times, don't we need a huge dose of that, right? Yeah. Okay, so joy spotting. Well, this is the woman, Ingrid Fattel Lee, who wrote the book Joyful, which not only have I read, not only have I listened to, but now it's a regular practice of mine. And the thing is, you can develop a precise practice of joy spotting. Okay, so now we're going to do a little metaphysics. That's what you expect from me, right? So when we say joy spotting, it sounds like I'm going to spot something out there that will cause joy in me. Doesn't it sound that way? And boy, our English language is written many, many times in ways like that in a way convinces us the cause is out there. When in truth, whatever you're experiencing at the point of yourself, you are causing it. So this brings up this topic of causation versus correlation. Causation versus correlation. So you see here a young lady with an ice cream cone and her sunglasses, and it could seem like one is causing the other, couldn't it? That when people are eating ice cream, they tend to be wearing sunglasses, and vice versa, right? Yeah. So it seems like one is causing the other, but really there's only a correlation. Don't we know that? Yeah. That it's the sun that they're responding to. And so we need to, there's no other way of saying this, people. We need to get a grip that we are radically responsible for ourselves. We are responsible for the thoughts and feelings and thereby the inner experiences we're having. So as I go through this, we're going to be in this context of joy spotting, and I just want you to remember that what's happening is a process that within you, you're seeing something out there that correlates to something that you spontaneously feel joyful about. So this is a wonderful quote from Emily Cady. Actually, Emily Cady's book, Lessons in Truth, was considered Unity's first textbook. And in there, she says, within our own being is the spring of wisdom, health, and joy, and I'll add so much more. So what am I saying? There is already within you the fundamentals, the basis of joy, health, and wisdom. You don't have to find it out here and bring it in here. You have it in here as a set of principles, or we could say a set of divine ideas. So when you're going through your life, you can know within you is a whole set of principles or divine ideas. Because Eric Butterworth said, God is Christ, present in its entirety at every point in space at the same time. So we could say the principle of joy is present in your entirety. It's there, and it's something you have to access. So when we're talking about joy, I don't know about you, I started going, well, what about happiness? Where does happiness fit in here? Well, happiness is more like feeling good over a period of time. It's also a conscious appraisal of how good our life is right now. And it's based on a range of factors, because we get happy because of certain things going on in our lives. And again, those things aren't causing us, we are causing ourselves to respond. So, how we feel about work, what's the quality of our relationships, and do we have a sense of purpose? And those are all connected to happiness. And a happiness is a thing that happens over time. Have you noticed that? Yeah. So we build up happiness over time. So then what is joy fundamentally? Well, it's feeling good in the moment, and it's immediate. It's like clap, it's here. And we don't even know it's here. It's intense, it's momentary, and it's positive. And it's usually measured through physical experience. Why do you think we say jump for joy? And I have a friend, actually, he was a partner for quite a few years, and when he saw something that caused him or impacted him that he would be joyous, without thinking, he would rub his hands together like this. Do you know anybody that does something like that? In fact, I invested a lot of times to see how I could say something that would correlate to him wanting to do this. And so what's really great about this, he was 6'6" and a redhead. Okay, so this big man rubbing his hands together just was delightful. So the author, because she is essentially a designer, a decorator, she thought of joy as being put into 10 aesthetics. We would maybe say 10 categories, but to think of joy as aesthetic is a really, really interesting thing. So the first one is abundance. Now look, if you guys don't know about abundance with Ken teaching you here, I was going to say check your heartbeat or something, right? But abundance shows up like the kid in the candy store. Do you remember when you did that and you went to a candy store and it was so much to choose from? And it's a cup runneth over feeling. And it's polka dots. It's stripes. Or a rainbow palette of color. It's my shirt, in a way. There's an abundance of color here. So the next one is harmony. So in harmony, we think of balance and symmetry and pattern. We think of order in the world that provides or gives us a sense of joy and calm. But there again, I said it that way, didn't I? That's not how it happens. That's how we write about it. That's how we think about it. It's ingrained. When you see someone on the TV, a reporter at the scene of a fire or something, he'll stick the microphone in somebody's face saying, "How does this make you feel?" Well, nothing out there can make you feel anyway. And that's important, because if you think the outside stuff is causing the inside experience, you've given your power away and you don't have any control or responsibility. Amen, right? Yes, yes. So when I think of order in the world, I'm one of those guys, yeah. I'm orderly. If you sit down to dinner with me, I'll be rearranging things to be orderly. Or if you come into my space, I'll do something because I have this orderliness thing. And yes, a lot of my spaces are well organized, but I have a tip for you. If you're a person who is really obsessive about it, I always allow a couple spaces in my condo to be disorderly. In fact, I define that as part of my order, you see? And so then I feel comfortable about it. So then there's energy, another one of those qualities. So it's color and light. It's innate attraction to a sense of brightness. Bright colors are joyful. So last fall, I was in Bentonville, Arkansas, and I was having dinner with my bicycle buddy. I call him BB, bicycle buddy. And we went down there for this trip, and we walked out of the restaurant, and we saw that a couple blocks away. And I had to go see what it was, because just seeing the bright lights, I was feeling joyful. And so we walk over to this building to discover that whoever owned this building went to that expense to make a parking garage look better. Yeah. Yes, right? Yeah. So if you ever get a chance to go to Bentonville, Arkansas, that's the home of Walmart, by the way. There's been a lot of money invested to beautify. And wherever I walked around, there were these surprises. So the next one is freedom. That's appropriate for today, right? It's the feeling of having been let loose. It's the feeling of the last day of school. Can you still remember that? Wow, right? And in nature, it's of having space around us. So a bicycle represents freedom for me. Still, at my age, getting on a bicycle is joyful. And I feel like I can just ride that bike anywhere. Oh, and it's electrified. So it makes it easier. It actually flattens out the hills. If you haven't gotten on to an electric bike and tried one, they are a marvel. But it's that sense of freedom. And another example of that freedom, can you remember when you got your first car? And how freeing it was to own the keys and be able to go anywhere we wanted. Except where mom and dad said you couldn't. But still, it felt very free. So the next one is affordances. It's another one of those weird words that designers and decorators use. It describes the different ways things can be used. Think of the different ways you can use a balloon or a hula hoop or balls or anything associated with play. And some of you might remember the movie Airplane from 1980, okay? If you don't remember it, then go and see where you can find it to play it at home, because it is one of the funniest movies I've ever seen, okay? And in the scene of Airplane, they're in the control tower, and one of the bosses comes out with a piece of paper, and he hands it to this younger subservient guy and says, "What do you make of this?" And he says, "Well, sir, I can make a hat. I can make a brooch. I can even make a pterodactyl." Right? So those are the affordances I see in me in using this piece of paper. And thank you to the writers of Airplane. So another one of these is surprise. Contrast and whimsy catches our attention, and it has to do with incongruity. And you could say, well, Paul, that parking lot with those lights caught your eye. Yeah, because there's an overlap in these things. So in that same trip, my friend and I, Bibi, we were riding in the downtown area, and we saw this building in the upper left, and we saw there were ramps on it. And I was so curious. And so we rode around the building, and finally, on one side of the building, we found, as you can see in the upper right picture, that ramp was made for bicycles. The owner of the building had this building built with these ramps so the employees could ride their bicycles and park and lock their bicycles on the same floor they were working. Isn't that amazing? I mean, it still thrills me. And then, as we're riding up these concrete ramps, they weren't just concrete. You see those bugs in the lower part? You know, the centipede and scorpion with the jewels? Well, there were these large mosaics embedded into the concrete. So it was another big surprise. So transcendence. Well, being in this building will give you a sense of transcendence because it's that idea of looking up. And almost every church is built that way, so that it provides the impetus, the nudge to feel transcendence. But it doesn't cause it, remember? So things that draw our eyes upward in space. And I immediately thought of Muir Woods. You've all been there, haven't you? I mean, what a mind-boggling experience. And then magic. Magic. Things we see that we don't understand how they're happening. I mean, fireflies is a good example. Do you remember catching them as a kid? Yeah. Renewal, it's growth, it's potential and change, it's movement and progress. The opening of flowers, spirals, and the way plants grow. Wow. That sense of renewal, that sense of how life is expressing itself always amazes me. And then there's celebration. That's what we're here for, aren't we? To celebrate. And celebration explains how joy spreads between people. Remember, we can share a smile and we can share our joy because it's highly contagious. We just celebrated 4th of July. Usually, seeing fireworks is a shared, joyous experience. Confetti and glitter, too, except with the glitter, it doesn't include when someone put it in a letter and mailed it to you, and you open it up and it goes all over the floor. It upsets my sense of order, right? Right. So, maybe some of you remember this from Christmas time. How many of you felt joy as you were watching that? I remember when I first saw it, I cried. And that's how much can be packed into a 1-minute video. That's what that is. And that reaches us at many levels, doesn't it? How many of you miss sledding? Yeah. So that's the 10 aesthetics of joy. And so we have abundance, freedom, transcendence, harmony, affordances, magic, energy, surprise, renewal, celebration. Now, which one is the one that you normally see something that stimulates joy within you? So, joy spotting can be a new practice that you add to your daily life. Remember, joy.